Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Success Life Live. My name is Reid, and it is Friday, so you know what that means. It's Fun Friend Friday. To say that Friday is my favorite day of the week, I don't know. Okay, it is. Sunday, fun day. Well, Friday. We'll do, every day is a great day, but Fun Friend Friday is always a great day because it's when I get to bring a friend along for this Success Life Live. And we stay to the format of trying to grow this thing we call our mindset, grow this thing we call our purpose and our intentionality. Good morning, Miss Melanie. I think you're safely cuddled home. And wouldn't you know it, the one day that you get here and it's live, your coffee cup for 50 and 50 is in the dishwasher. So, see, I went generic just to not overshadow you. So good morning, everybody. So Success Life Live is really a program that I put together to help create mindsets of getting the thing up here right, getting our mindset right, getting our thoughts right, getting our actions and our attitudes in line. Because we can't just simply push something up on a vision board and sit there and tape it to our office wall and then stare at it all day and expect something to happen. No. Success requires that we take action. Success requires that we lean in every single day to our dreams and our goals, whether it's in the area of our finances or our fitness, our family, our faith, or our friends. And so if we are not becoming intentional, if we are not diving in each and every single day, it's kind of like, remember back in school when we were young and we used to have to climb that rope in the gym? And you would start to go up it, and you'd go up it, and you could, and you'd be going, and you're like, yes, I'm going to make it to the bell on top. You know, you had to do that if you were one of those presidential fitness kind of kid generations. And what would happen is as soon as you got like midway, you'd start to feel that fatigue, that stress, that weariness in your bones, so to speak. And so you would be like, okay, I'm just going to catch my breath, and then I'm going to start. You cannot catch your breath midway. You cannot expect to hold on midway. No, that's when you'd start to get those rope burns and you'd start to slide back down and the inside of your legs, you'd be squeezing against the rope, hoping that would help. And you'd end up flopped on the bottom, hands aching, muscles burning, complaining. Why? Because you stopped midway. You had the target and the goal in place. You were climbing that rope. You were doing the hustle. Yeah, it hurt. Yeah, it was work. Maybe half the gym had wandered off to do something else and forgot about you. Well, it's the same thing with building our life of success, building our journey of success, creating success. We can't stop the rope climb midway. No, that's when we actually have to grab on tighter, dig in deeper, and push beyond. And having a program like Success Life Live, being involved in this venue, so to speak, is an opportunity for you to keep going. It's a good chance. Good morning from the gym. Well, go do the rope climb, John W. It is that thing that will help keep us going. It will help us growing deeper and bigger and more into our dreams. And yeah, next week's kind of chaos with the Christmas and the New Year's and the post-Christmas and the Boxing Day and all of that. But if you're not investing in yourself, at least something every single day, you're going to end up with those rope burns. You're going to end up with, sliding back down, flopping down the floor and having to restart. So don't. It's easier to stay in momentum than it is to create momentum. I had once heard, and I don't know, it's like starting a train takes, 10 times the amount of energy than just continuing in action. If you've ever watched a train go across tracks, they don't come to a stop. They may come really slow, but they know that momentum, that fueling up the fire, that getting those wheels turning, that breaking free of inertia. Man, that's a lot of energy expended. Why not just stay in motion? Encouraging you to do the same. I did see a message pop over from my friend Wendy. Let's see if she's back online. I'm just going to ask her if she's here. Sometimes with Facebook, it can be a little bit of a demon, and lately it's been a real demon. I think they're probably getting ready for some major upgrade or, I don't know, some big data mining. So let me check and see if she's in the room. Wendy, if you are in the room, do me the favor and just say hi in the comments below. I'm going to go over here and see if I can do this. That'll tell me if you're in the room as well. I know, don't you guys love when you get to see my big old finger on screen? So I have been there you go. There, she should be coming in just a minute, it looks like. So I don't know how many of you know the speaker Les Brown. He's a phenomenal speaker, can command a stage, make you laugh, make you smile, inspire you to do great things. But and see, my buddy Les Brown. If you're watching, I'm sorry for laughing at you. So he has been trying to, he's 70, I don't know, 70 something, 74, 70 something. He has been trying to master the art of Facebook and Facebook Live and this kind of medium. And for the last couple of nights, I've been sort of doing IT support services through Instant Chat. Wendy, you have to be on my feed. You have to close down your Facebook, open back up Facebook, and only come to my page first. All right, so try it again. Make sure your phone is turned this way and all of that other stuff we talked about. You did so well the other day, Wendy, when we test drove. So don't go off the track. Stick to the game. So anyhow, I've been watching him and I've been sending him like IT support services and notes and encouraging him. Because you have this 74-year-old man, he's got his, as he calls them, his Rite Aid glasses, and he's going like this, and he's punching on buttons. There's Wendy. He's punching on buttons, and then the screen will shut down, and then the screen will reboot, or he'll bring in 5 or 6 people that he didn't know into the... And I mean, it is literally a 20-minute comedy show. And what is funny is, this is a man that if I could take Facebook away, technology away from, and all of those... I was watching him the other night, and after 25 minutes of really what I call the Les Brown Comedy Hour, I mean, he's got 800 some followers. I mean, let's go ahead and share this out and see if I can get 800 some followers today. And he's, like I said, doing his Rite Aid thing and trying to get it going. The minute he drops into being a speaker, an inspirational teacher, a gifted orator, man, it just like all fades away. And in watching this, what I realized is so often we struggle with the things that we're not good at to get to the things that we're really great at. And so as I was watching my buddy Les Brown kick it and trying to make it happen and making it happen, I'm thinking, oh my Lord, you are a talent, man. Dude, you probably make a 6-figure income stepping on stage and you can't figure out how to bring a friend on board through Facebook? I thought, wait a minute. That's not why I follow Les Brown. That's not why I listen to Les Brown. That's not why I'm inspired by Les Brown. Not because of how well he can bring friends on stage. No, I'm inspired because what the man can say and do. And so don't let the little headaches, the little chaoses, the little construction-like things that you have to go through to build your dream get in the way. Because when you step on your stage, whether it's in your finances, your fitness, your family, your faith, or even in this venue, you will shine, and all of that Les Brown Comedy Hour humor that honestly I have sent him, his team, and everybody else a note saying if they need me to come and do a training camp, I'd be more than happy. So step onto your stage. And if y'all know Les Brown, y'all have to share this over to him, talk to him, tell him that we talked about him this morning. Let me see if I can find my friend Wendy now. There she is. Gonna add while we wait for Miss Wendy to join in. Let's do a little song. Good morning.
Good morning.
Turn down your volume just a bit.
Okay, hang on. I have to move the phone to do that. Okay.
No worries.
Is that better?
Perfect. Now can you hear my song for you?
Oh, thank you.
Do we do hands on our heart or salute? When we're
you normally stand up.
I'm sorry.
That's right.
No, now you get to see my double chin.
Well, you got mine too, so that's all right. How are you?
Good morning. So it was funny because I was reading the Australian lyrics, and they tried to be all proper and British, but they really didn't get there, right? Our beauty, rich and rare, our history is. It's a great song. Did you know
Advance Australia Fair? Yeah.
Advance Australia Fair. I've been there, and it is fair. Did you know there's a whole album of countries' anthems?
No, there you go. I did not know that.
So here's by the way, I also have my English breakfast tea. So I'm like totally in the spirit with you.
Oh, well, I'm staying in Arizona at the moment at Grace's Secret Garden bed and breakfast in Sedona. And she has made me a lovely cup of coffee. She insisted on getting up. I couldn't do my call without a cup of coffee at 6 a.m. here, so that's pretty good. But that's better, as you said, than doing it to between 12 midnight and 1 a.m., which it would have been had I been at home. So it works. It still works.
What I love about, so we're going to jump in really fast because you got so much to teach me. So what I loved doing the other day is I was looking at national anthems and reading the words, and because our anthem is supposed to reflect our feelings and our emotions and our desires for our country and the people in it, it's really kind of cool to read the words of other countries' anthems, because it is almost like a historical record of who they are and where they're going. So, side note on that.
Fair enough. Right. So,
no, fair dinkum. Fair
dinkum, yep.
So,
you have to be true blue.
True blue. There we go. Good morning, Greg. You'll have to look up Italy's national anthem and find out what your mindset should be if you live in the country. So I want to introduce you guys all to my friend, Miss Wendy. We did this thing one time before, and it was a phenomenal Facebook Live. And then as I was going in the house, because we had done it outside when I was living in Uruguay, I tripped and I fell, and I hit the delete button instead of the upload button. And so only those people that were present in the moment got to get her wisdom. And I said, that will not work. That will not work. We need to bring Miss Wendy back into the room. How can we make that happen? And sure enough, now that she's on stateside, the time delay is only 2 hours. So I asked her to please come back and do a Fun Friend Friday with me, and she has graciously blessed me. So everybody do me a favor, give a smile, give a hands up, give a thumbs up, give a welcome good morning to my friend, Miss Wendy.
Oh, thank you. I can't see the messages. Should I do something to see the messages?
No, you don't get to see them.
Oh,
they
I
only
don't get
show
to
up
see
on
them.
my side right now.
Okay, I can look
Serious.
afterwards.
It's part of the technology.
Fair enough. Okay.
So, you know what's funny is I have to bring this up because it just gave me such a warm feeling. So show your cup. Okay, see, now look at the handle, look at the So my mother she was a coffee drinker in the morning. And when she came to visit me the very first time, post-college, I don't know, back when I still had my natural hair color, not this artificial thing, I handed her a cup of coffee and something like this. And she looked at me and she said, just so you know, this will be the last time I'll drink coffee out of a mug in your home. I was like, what's the problem? So I went out and I went to some Salvation Army because I was a college student. I was poor, and I found a cup much like the one you have that had this heart-shaped handle, and it said a mother's love and everything on it. And so it always sat in my cupboard. So when my mother would come I knew that I had the proper cup for a lady and not some man-handled mug. And after she passed, it was funny. My mother-in-law found it, and she said, "Oh, you got me this cup." And I was like, "Yeah, that's the story." So it still sits in my cupboard. So when you come to visit, I'll make sure you get a mother's love cup instead of one of these man-handled mugs. So tell them a little bit about you. Tell them a little bit about you, and then I want to go into caged, comfortable, encouraged.
Okay, well, I'm from Australia. I'm 8th generation Australian, so it's go back pretty much to when we started, but I'm in a
So what crime did your family commit that got you sent to
They're actually
Australia?
the paymaster to the soldiers, the one I know about. The ones I don't know about, I have no clue. Probably something. So, and I know some of them came later from the Orkney Islands. So I actually did one of those genetic things, and while I'm 8th generation Australian, all my genes come from Scotland, Ireland, Britain, and Norway. So there you go. Oh. Genetically, I'm from that part, transplanted. But my parents grew up there. I went to university and studied genetics and chemistry. And then I became a missionary with my husband, and we worked all around the world. We did time in Bolivia and then Singapore. And then we worked with youth in Youth with a Mission in New Zealand. And that took us to Canberra, where we ended up. So we have 4 children and 4 grandchildren. All our kids are married. And the reason I'm here today is 5 years ago, one of my daughters and her husband went to Disney World, and they saw those groups going through Disney World and multi-generational tours, or the whole family. And they said, we should do that. So they set up an account, and for the past 5 years, we've been paying every fortnight, and the kids have too. So in January, after I've visited my friend Dorothy in Arizona, we are going to all meet up in Disney World. So one of the daughters who's building a house couldn't come, but the 3 of our kids and 2 of our grandkids and us, we're all going to do our multi-generational tour to Disney World and have lots of fun and laughter. So this is really a great time. And for Patrick and I, this is our 40th wedding anniversary trip. So, yeah.
And mind you, 40 after being in the mission fields together, because there's always that one person who has the desire to go into the mission field and the other one that has the desire to go into the Ritz-Carlton. So,
yeah, well, it wasn't quite the Ritz-Carlton, but there you go. Mind you, in Singapore, you would walk into all these classy hotels.
Yeah, so I can 40 years.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna, like, if my kids watch this, we're not doing the multi-generational Disney thing. Just so you guys know, just like kids, I love all things Disney at a distance, up close and personal. I freak out. So
that's all right. I know Eric because of John Maxwell. We joined 5 years ago. I joined the John Maxwell team, and that's where I met Eric, and we became friends. And we were in Paraguay together. So was part of one of 5 actually that came from Australia to be a part of Transformation Paraguay. So we've connected with that and kept going, and I've just kept going and growing, and now I've formed my own business with another John Maxwell team who I actually shared the room with in Paraguay, another Australian, and we are now equipped for success, and that is now my full-time business. And so I'm training people to be a star and to create star teams and star organisations. So that's what I do.
And it's funny, I think I know I was one person that the country was applauding when they left. I had so much fun and laughter during it. And you are always so easy to laugh with. I sometimes think you're like my Gracie, because I know that when we're at JMT and we share a table or you have no problem laughing at life. Your laughter comes so easily. That I'm just a natural F student looking for a stage to ham up, and so you bring out the worst in me, I think, because I'll just go into a comedy hour and not care who I offend, and you don't seem to be offendable, so that even becomes more dangerous.
Well, I think the thing is you can choose to take offence or not. If people aren't. Just because you feel offended doesn't mean somebody's trying to give offence. It may just be where you're coming from. So I choose not to take offence.
Okay, that is a huge one. I'm adjusting my volume on this side. Well, there we go. You can choose to be offended or not. And just because you're offended does not mean the person intended to be offensive. Oh, my Lord. Could we get that put on every highway billboard across the country? Some people will call me out and go, I can't believe you said that. And I'll just look at them like, that's not what I said. And they could literally videotape it and show it to me. And I'll still be like, that's not what I said. And what I really mean is that's not what I heard in my head and my heart when I said that.
Yeah.
And I realize as a leader and as an influencer, I need to be conscious of that. But again, you come into the situation with your own history, your own value, your own perspectives, and I can't know all of that. And so before you jump to the I'm offended stage, why don't you just check and say, wait a minute, does he have an energy of offense? Does he seem like somebody that wants to be offensive? Did he approach this offensively? Or maybe did my filters cause me to feel called out, uncomfortable, sticky? So thank you for that. We can go home now. That was the best lesson of my life. Just because you're offended doesn't mean the person intended to be offensive. And I got
Yeah.
called into HR once at a company because I kept saying "you guys," and all the women in the room were offended that I kept saying "you guys." I mean, I literally got called into the HR department. I was like, "We cannot have you training anymore. You're being offended." I was like, "What?" I was like, "I'm from the
You guys.
Midwest.
Yeah.
We
You.
say you guys in place of you all. You know, it's like our generic royal we word."
Yeah. And put this way, in Australia, you'd probably get away with that, or you would have. It's getting a bit funny now too.
See, yeah, and I was like, I did not intend to be offensive. I was trying to be inclusive. So I'm like reaching. So let's talk. Let's talk. Oh, okay.
Right.
Everybody get your pens, papers, pencils out. Hit the share button, hit the like button. You are going to figure out where you're at in life, whether you are caged, comfortable, or charged. And we're going to talk about a little bit of how to like figure out where you're at, where to go, and how to get to where you want to go. So should I just like, I'm just going to leave it to you, and I'm going to interrupt with questions as we pop.
Okay, well, I think I want to just ask people to stop and think first. Do you actually know where you are? If you could, because I believe in a progression, and that first part of that, as they said, the first point of change is awareness. And I'd often hear that saying. I said, well, what's the second? You always get stuck at the first. Okay, I'm aware. What the heck do I do now? Okay, but so we're aware. Okay, are you really though? Are you really aware of where you are now? And how do you feel? I mean, what's the focus? Are you focused on safety? Excuse me. Or are you focused on sort of hurt of the past? Because if safety or hurt are your focus, then be aware you're probably in a caged life. Whereas if your focus is on belonging and trying to feel satisfied and you want to fit in and, you know, just be there and feel okay, then you're probably in the comfortable life.
So caged is, see, and when we talk about that, I always see caged as that I'm just one step ahead of survival or death. I'm either afraid or I'm operating out of the fear of being hurt. So whatever I'm doing, I'm just doing enough. It's like being in the boxing ring and not throwing punches, but just keeping from getting hit.
Yeah, because you're focused on safety, you're focused on protection, you're focused on protecting yourself from being hurt or from somebody else to be hurt, but nothing's done about going forward. It's all about protection, or it's all about, it's trapped or protection. So you're either, you've been hurt perhaps, and you're focusing on the hurt. So it may be that you were hurt in the past, but you've never let that go. And that is your cage. It's holding you there. Or it may be that you're in a low trust environment. So you've got built a cage around you, but you won't go out because it's all about keeping this little spot safe.
So I had a coaching call the other day, and yes, I was called out for being caged. I hate coaching calls, just so you know. Like this level coaching, like it hurts. It hurts.
Right.
And I thought I was like comfortable. I thought I was living I mean, like I was like, look at me. I'm big man, mister.
Right.
And it was like, I'm hearing that you still haven't recovered from blank, blank, blank. What happened to it? I'm like, no, I'm good. And it's like, no, you're not. I'm like, yes, I am. Like, shut up. It's like, clearly you're not, because even the lightest touch to the topic, to the subject, to the person, to the event, you throw back your shoulders, you push up your chest, and you tell me how you are so far past that, when in reality, you're still in it. And so when we talk about being caged, it doesn't have to be at the will of other people. It doesn't have to be a spouse. It doesn't have to be a job. It doesn't have to be finances or fitness. It can all be up here that you got beat, you got punched, you got kicked, you got something, and you're not dressing up and stepping forward because you don't know if you can come back in the ring one more time. So you like hold back your greatness, you hold back your awesomeness, you hold back your potential, because the little piece, the rice grain that's still around inside of you, you want to build a cage around it and protect it from being taken away instead of exposed and expanded.
Yeah. And I think what I found a lot was, even as I grew, I would grow in some areas, but there were other areas that I protected in my life for a long time. So even as I went more into the comfortable life, and a lot of my life was comfortable, there were still those little caged patches. It's almost like you've seen the people in the shopping centre. You know, they're walking around, but they've got one of those orthopedic devices on their leg or something that's this great big boot, and it protects just that area. And so for some of us, the cage may not be on all of our body, but we are carrying a cage, if you like, think of that orthopedic boot, on part of our body just to protect us. So,
okay, I'm interrupting you a lot because you're so smart. You people have got, and I love the waterfall in the background. I've been trying to figure out what it is.
Oh, sorry, we could turn it up.
Waterfall.
Yes, we do. There's a
Do
waterfall.
turn it off because it's overlapping your voice, just so you know. Here, think of this, guys. You may be, and this is what success like. Yeah, go ahead. I'll summarize what you play with the water fountain. So here's where I talk about success life. And my friend, Exponential Living, Sherry, wrote about it. We can be at uncaged, charged, or comfortable in a particular area of our life, our business, our finances, our family. We could be excelling. We could be like at a number 10 on the performance scale, on the comfort scale, on the empowerment scale. You're doing so well, Wendy. You can be like at this really super high level in one area, but living caged in another. And so I see this happen so often with high performers, is that they will be like crushing their job, crushing their profession. Like people will walk in and go, holy crap, look at the wealth and the success and the achievement this person has. And if you peel back and dig in and do a little bit of extra work, you'll realize that there's this caged part in their life, whether it's a relationship with their spouse, with their family member, with something. And so don't think, as we talk about caged, comfortable, and charged, that it's an overall umbrella kind of thing, like you live in one dome. I love the image of seeing somebody walking through the mall and having that orthopedic boot. Because, I mean, that's so true. It's like their whole body isn't in healing or in recovery, but there's a part of them that needs support and protection and healing and extra. And so keep going. Oh my God.
Keep going.
So
okay.
Good.
Yes. So
you are so good. Is everybody else like, is she so good?
Thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah. So I think that's the cage. So if that's where you're at, be honest, be aware. But after awareness, to be able to do anything else, the next step is acknowledge. Like you got called because you were aware that it was part of your life, but you hadn't acknowledged it was still there. The change doesn't come until you've acknowledged. So when with Equipped for Success, where we say is awareness, acknowledgement, then you take action. Because if you act on awareness but you haven't acknowledged, you're looking for something outside of you to fix. You're not actually dealing with the problem inside.
Shut up and go home.
Thank you for inviting me on, Eric Giles.
Like, I don't need this morning. This is too much thinking. So often we will become aware of a problem in our life. And we will go outside self to solve it. And on the surface, it will look like we're solved. It will, we'll get some progress. We'll get some traction. We'll get some comfort. Things will look healed. But until we acknowledge that cancer is going to grow back, so to speak, that illness, that dysfunction, that pain, that cage is always sort of, it's funny. Now I have another visual of somebody, you walk in their house and they got one of those big kennels in the corner for their dog. And you look around the house and it's like, okay, where's the dog? And they're like, oh, it died 2 years ago. So why are you keeping the cage? Well, in case we need another one. Like, in case we get another dog. It's almost that same idea of like, just because I'm aware and I've moved out of the cage doesn't mean that I've moved the cage out of my life.
Yeah, so I think that's the acknowledgement. But okay, so you can move. When I started all this growth process, I mean, I had a pretty adventurous life. I was thought things were pretty good. But 5 years ago, I was really frustrated and I knew there was more to life than this. I was in a job and I was hating it. That's when I joined the John Maxwell team because I knew that I needed to grow. I didn't know where, I didn't know what. The trigger was having gone down to visit my son in Melbourne and his wife, and they have poles on the flag poles on the street, and they put banners all around the city, and the banners at this time were saying driving Miss Daisy. They were advertising the local stage show, but the star of that stage show was Angela Lansbury. Now Angela Lansbury, I was thinking, she's got to be 100. She's got to be 100. I saw her when I was a kid, in Bed Knobs and Broomsticks.
Bed Knobs and Broomsticks.
And I'm thinking, what? Anyway, I went home and looked up. No, she was only 89. But I thought, here was a lady from the United States who I'd watched for years and years. She was being paid to do something she loved at 89. And she'd come all the way to Australia. They were paying her to come and work in another place. And I thought, well, I can't do that with what I'm doing now, can I? So I had to acknowledge that what I was doing was not getting me where I wanted to go. So I started to think, well, what am I good enough? What are my gifts? What are my skills? I started really asking, who was Wendy versus who had I become because of the jobs I'd done? Was I letting something outside of me define who I was? And that's when the questioning started, and I looked at all the things I loved. I started asking what gives me joy, all these sorts of questions. And I realised that I didn't know what else I could do that would pay me when I was 89 or 90 or whatever. But I thought, whatever it's going to be, I need to grow me. And that was the start of getting into that growth. So at that stage...
I got to stop. Time out because you... Lord, I need a notepad.
You mean you don't have one?
You guys... what I do is I go back and I transcribe this. And I get to read the transcriptions because, I'm the host. I can do what I want.
Okay.
You guys, you got to hear this. You got to hear this. As you begin, as the dawn of 2019 is on the corner, and I hate waiting until January 1st, but we're going to just play along like everybody else does with the odd idea. As 2019 is dawning, if there's nothing else you do, nothing else, I don't care if, nothing else, get a blank piece of paper, divide it in half, and say, who am I? Love that. Write down, who am I, on one side of the page, and on the other one is, who have I become? And look for the difference, because who we are is that person that sits in the dark, that still has the dream, the little girl with the color, whatever. Who am I? And then who have I become because of my role as a mother, as a husband, as a boss, as a team leader, as all of those who I've become are the things that other people have added to you, put on top of you. And they're not negative and they're not positive. But what I want you to look for is okay, now which column do I want to be at when I'm 89? Which column can I see myself doing until the day that I'm called out? And then live fully into that into 2019. And if it's who I've become, then do the who I become at a higher level. If it's who I am, then go out and discover who I am at a higher level and find ways to let the who I am out more. Oh, man. That's a teaching lesson I'm stealing, just so you know, and I'm not paying you for it. Go on. Sorry.
Okay. So perhaps if we move on from caged, I think if you've got a bit, if you're caged, acknowledge it. If you're comfortable, acknowledge it. And what does comfortable look like? Well, if the caged life is focusing on safe and hurt and things like that, the focus in the comfortable life is belonging. It's getting enough satisfaction in life. But underneath that, you've made it to a certain extent. It might have been that when you grew up, when you were kids, you were poor or you didn't have this, and now all your growth was against what you were when you were little. So we didn't have the inside toilet, we had the outside toilet, Now we've got the beautiful place with 4 bathrooms. I've made it, but there's still that restlessness inside. So the comfortable life is about, there's trappings of comfort, sure, but there's still a level of trapped. I'm here, but I don't feel fully alive. I'm not completely there. If anything, perhaps the word that describes it is a bit stale. I sometimes call this not just the comfortable life, but the convenient life. If you go to a convenience store, think about it. If you fed yourself every day out of convenience or fast food restaurants, what would your body look like and feel like? Well, if you're doing that mind-wise and soul-wise, what is your body and soul? What is your life going to look like? If you're doing things because it's too convenient, because it's the easy option, then sorry, you may be comfortable in some areas, but you're still going to have elements of that total frustration, and you're not going to be equipped. You're going to be trapped there because you're not physically or mentally or energetically ready to live the charged life. You've got to get there. It's like,
I sort of think of comfortable. I was going to say, I sort of think of that comfortable as that what I call base camp living. It's you got to the mountain, you started to go up the mountain, you hit base camp number 1 or maybe even base camp number 2 or 3, and you're like, oh, let's just stay here at base camp. And there's a couple people at base camp, they're like, no, there's a mountain to go. There's still more. There's more. And if you just keep going from base camp to the top, you're going to have so much different perspective and so much different view and so much different level of accomplishment. And though there's no danger at base camp, no fear at base camp, you're not finishing the journey.
I agree with you in some aspects, but not totally. Because for some people, that's where I think, because some people think, if I've got it, am I only a success if I get to the top? No, success is a daily thing. It's not a destination thing. It's living the day.
I agree. I agree.
So as long as we're not thinking of only if I get to the top of the mountain am I successful, then I can see the analogy, but I feel too many people do get tripped with that one. And what I think is that for some people, a lot of the porters, they love going to base camp. That is their mountain. But you've got to know what is your mountain, because you're climbing your mountain, not somebody else's mountain. So base camp for somebody may be the mountain for somebody else, or it may be on a totally different mountain on a totally different continent, but it's still going to be a mountain. It's still going to be uphill. But that's why I chose the star image. And I just like, if you might be able to get some comments here, Eric, and read to me. If I mentioned,
they're all silently taking notes
about being a star. So the comfortable life, I'll just finish that off and then I'm going to ask a question. If you are asking in your head, how did I end up here? I started out there, I was so, I was going to change the world, and here I am, and I'm so comfortable, I'm so suburban. Everything's so the same. It's a bit monotonous. I want more colour. I want more freedom. I want more connection in my life because I feel disconnected. Then there's signs that you're in the comfortable life. So if you're going to reach your potential, you've got to be able to do that. So if you're living your life by everybody else's expectations of what comfortable looks like, or what a good executive looks like, or what is a balanced life, because you said with high performers, they gung-ho at work, they are just fantastic. But what do you like at home? That's why I focus on the life of a person, and that's why when we talked before, we talked about my being a star, because most people cannot cope, or they've never learned to think about life in balance, but where they've got their faith, they've got their family, they've got their fun, they've got their fitness, they've got their finances, whether that be from work or a business or whatever way they do that, and that they actually have success, and their picture of success is in every area of their life rather than just the one area of work, because that's where I see people fall down. They can excel in one area, but if they take their eye off that, the rest of it looks like mud. It's revolting. And, you know, they've got to the top, only, as they said, they've climbed to the top of the ladder only to find it's on the wrong wall. So I suppose what I try and work on is, when we know who we are and what we are, and we've acknowledged that and where we're at, then we can actually build a picture of life as we want to live it rather than just work as we want to achieve it. And we can live success on what we're feeding out of us rather than being driven by everything external to us. Yeah, we live in a society, so we fit into that society. That's why people move cultures, they do different things, because sometimes they fit better in one group than another, and they can be themselves in that environment better than in another. And so if that happens all the time, but that's what I challenge people, because I've seen too many people, and I've even been in an office where the guy in the next door office in his mid-40s just dropped dead. I mean, it's just, you know, that's not success.
No, and that's where it's so funny, because when I talk about success, everybody thinks, oh, you're going to make me a multimillionaire. And I'm like, if that's the goal, then let's go there, but make sure we don't lose our family, our fitness, or our faith, or our finances along the way. But when I talk about a success life, it's about living each day with success.
Yes.
And so my day may be about business. And if I do the day that's about business successfully, then I need to be able to say, oh, wait, this is a day that it's about my family. Can I do that day successfully? Or my day about fitness? Or when we subdivide our day and we have our morning time with our family and our office time and our fitness time, are we fully engaged into each of those moments of day fully? And that's a success life. And I think you're so right. When we're sitting there and we look around, and sitting in the office, so to speak, and we look around and we say that, what's next? Or is there more? That's when we begin to call into our wanting a charged life.
Yeah. And the charge, when you think of a power station, I love this. This is from Brendan Burchard, and it's one of his quotes that I really enjoy. He says,
we're quoting Les Brown and Brendan Burchard?
There you go.
I am like trusting it.
Said, a power station doesn't have energy, it creates energy. So when I think of be a star, I mean, you think that our star is our sun, and where would we be without it? Not a lot of...
Are you running around looking like a moon when you really should be a star? Stop reflecting other people's light and create your own.
Yeah, so the thing is, and that's energy. And so for me, when I do my Be a Star program, and I'm starting my new subscription program next year, and the courses, or my initial growth course is about ready to go. So, but the whole thing is I get people to track their energy on a given day, because if we're living the comfortable life, our energy is going to be pretty even. It'll be even, but it won't be charged. It'll be sort of running on half battery power. And there are things you can do to improve that, and there are actions, and I'm going to just ask a couple of those if we've got time. Now, I can't see on this, I can't see a clock anywhere. And I'm good.
So ask the
so
question.
You just got to...
Lord, I got it.
Yeah, so... Whoops, move this.
Nice ceiling.
Move something and... Yeah, it is. It's a very nice place. So I want you to think, what does a star mean to you? If I say be a star, what is it that a star is and does in your mind? And I just like, can you get some feedback from whoever's listening?
I'll read them to you as
idea.
they come in.
Okay,
so everybody is just like,
when they
Dr.
think of a
Tanya
star.
Rowe, Margaret and Wesley, and there's a whole bunch of people in the room, and they're just like, every so often like, yes, 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 amen. So it's funny when I watch and I got to sort of do the Facebook host thing. When I watch the room go quiet, it's because they are just like leaning in. Like they're like, oh my gosh, I can't. They're like, like little kids afraid to say anything because if they do, they'll shatter the magic. So you guys do take a moment and feel free to make comments, ask questions. This is not a teaching. This is it's a mastermind. It's not a monologue, even though sometimes I do like monologues. You get that Monday through Thursday. And take a minute and share it out. And if you're watching in the replay, we do check in. So Greg, our friend from Italy, says being a star is a source of energy. And he didn't say it with quite that accent, but it sounded fun to read it that way.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, whether you think of a celestial body, some people might think of, you know, that Hollywood Boulevard where you get to put your star in the pavement.
I like that one.
So, you know, you're a star of movie, star of screen. But there's another thing that I think about a star because I'm out here in Arizona and like there's not a lot of natural light at night and you can look up and you can see the stars. And I don't actually know which is your North Star because I haven't learnt the northern sky, but I know you have a North Star. Yeah, funny about that. Yeah, we're upside down. But in Australia, I can look up and I can always find the Southern Cross. And the Southern Cross, when I look at that points south. So when I was in the Girl Guides years and years ago, we learned to be able to, you know, look up and find our direction from the sky and to be able to navigate. And so for me, when I think of a star, and what part of the reason I chose a star was not only does it have that energy creation, but it also helps me guide my life. If you've got a really starry night, you can see where you're going. It can give you direction. And when you're down in the valley and you can't see much, but you can look up through those trees or you can look up and you say, where am I going? I can't see because the daylight's not there. I can still get my ultimate direction. So for me, being a star also is getting that direction right. It's knowing where you're going. So it's a being, it's a going, and it encompasses all that, and it shines. Okay, so
and so two visuals came up. One, a star never dims, even though we don't see it, it doesn't go out. And I always think of those mornings when everything is just right, you know, and all of the things are aligned just right, and you see stars in the morning, like the sun and the star are occupying. And it's always such a thing, like when you like, oh my gosh, it's like I can see on this the star and on this the sun rising, or you know, so I love that image that when you know who you are and where you're going, you can't lose vision. Now you can lose footing, but you can't lose vision.
Yeah. So to me, that is a successful day. Even if I do, you know, I might have 10 things on my to-do list, but is there one thing that if I do that today, then today will be a successful day? Well, that's the thing you do first. That's the most important thing. And I gotta coach on this because this is where we make the mistake sometimes. We, the royal we, like I'll say it with my British accent or whatever that is, y'all. This is where y'all make the mistake, including self, is that we evaluate ourselves at the end of the day. Like, oh, today was a success because I didn't eat cookies or whatever it is. What if you instead flipped the book and said, at the end of today, I will know that I was a star or a success if I managed this situation, created this change, took on this project. If you set what you're going to score yourself on at the end of the day, instead of waiting until the end of the day to score yourself, how much different would your day operate? We so often will sit and go, oh, today was a 5 because I didn't beat the kids. Yeah, but you set out with the intention of completing this work, hiring a new client, meeting, like, wait a minute, your goal in the morning and how you're scoring yourself are disconnected. And no wonder you walk through feeling like you're not accomplishing anything because you're giving yourself an easy out at the end of the day saying, well, I'll give myself a 5 because I didn't eat cookies. Yeah, but you told me this morning the one thing, the most important thing, your priority, your determination of success today would be based on this.
And you still have not evaluated that, and it's the end of the day, the end of the week, the end of the month. No wonder you're stuck. No wonder you're frustrated. No wonder you feel engaged, because you're not making the changes in the area of life that you said at the beginning of every day was most important to you. Sorry, I see that so often when I meet with coaching clients. They have this list of things that are most important, but when I ask them how their day went, they're like, "Oh, it was great because," and I'm like, "Are you living two different lives, or am I just the only person in the room that's feeling bipolar?" And so you're right.
Well, I would say that they're being dishonest with themselves, frankly, because the fact is they are telling you that what they told you was most important really isn't. And that if not eating cookies is the thing that they measure it by, then their self-image or their weight is what is most self-important to them. Their actions are telling you.
Yeah, my actions. And so when I start my day on my morning piece is, I will know today was a success if, and I answer that question. So throughout the day, I'm being driven, knowing that when teacher comes in at the end of the day, they're going to evaluate the schoolwork at hand, not the modified, adjusted, pretty up, turned it in, wrote my nighttime gratitude journal version.
Yeah. Well, I think the thing is what, and I found this too, because they're all things you have to do. But I don't know whether you've ever filled out a form or a template without knowing the meaning behind it or why it was written. Or you've been given one by somebody and you think, why did they put that answer there? That does not fit. They're just filling out a form rather than answering a question. Or then, it might be, it is, the context is missing. And when you actually do something and you're doing the steps without knowing why, then you can't sustain it. So I'm just going to change images here for a moment. So I want you all to think of a bucket, a large bucket, and there's about a third of the way up the bucket there's a ring around your bucket, and that's the line where when the water in the bucket tips over that line, you go from being caged to being comfortable. And then you've got a bucket that for perhaps 3/4 the way up the bucket, there's another line, and that when you get the water up to that's where you go from being comfortable to being charged. And the charge life was. So when you think of it, your bucket is not straight, it's shaped like that. So now you're dripping water into your bucket. So somebody's doing an action and I don't know where your bucket is up to. So you could be a caged life and you could have a totally empty bucket. Or you can be a caged life and you've still got an inch or two of water in the bottom and you may be just below the line. But nothing changes until you trip over the line. It's like that instantaneous overnight success that's taken 4 years to fill the drips of the bucket, So you're putting water in. Now, how long will it take to go from caged to charged? Well, are you filling it with a fire hose? Are you filling it with an eyedropper? What are you filling? Generally, when we're in the caged life and we're so protectionist, we just have a little bit of hope and we try something. We might try it once, we might try it twice. But unless you're actually got your mindset right, unless the hope is deep enough, hope buys you time.
Ooh, y'all write that down, Dr. Tanya Lowe. Hope buys you time till you get the vision right.
Yeah, because if you don't have a vision, if you don't know what you're doing, then you'll try something. So you might be putting what you're trying, whatever action you're taking, might be like putting 4 tablespoons of water into the bottom of your bucket. Well, and somebody's saying, "Oh, that was enough. It made the difference for me. That's all you need to do." Well, when they started, their water level was just below the line. So 4 tablespoons, those 4 actions was enough to jump them over the line, and they experienced the change of moving from caged to charged. Caged to comfortable. But for somebody else, those 4 tablespoons might be the 4 tablespoons in the bottom, and they don't see any difference because you don't see difference yet. So that's why I think the danger of when we are looking at an action or a specific action for a limited period of time, and that's, only do 1, 2, 3 and you're out of the hole. Yeah, well, do 1, 2, 3, and for some of you that will be for 3 years, and for some of you that will be for 3 days, and for some of you that will be for 3 months. But basically, how fast are you putting the water in? And give yourself time. Yes, absolutely. If you do the right actions, they will get you, you will build, but it's becoming the person who is full enough, who is complete enough to be ready to live the next level of life. So, you might have a teaspoon first. The first thing, if you're really in the lowest of the low, that hope is just very occasionally you're trying something and you're getting a little bit in there and a little bit dribbling in. But as you get stronger, it comes in a bit faster. And so you can move up. But then you get to the comfortable level. And so you're filling up your life. And that's why I use the growth. I mean, are you setting goals that are helping you become the person that can live the life you want to live? If you're just setting destination goals, you will never get there. You've got to become the person who can live the life you want to live.
And so the bucket thing, I'm going to be like, I got a 6-hour drive today, so I'm going to be like, the sound of a water droplet at each different level in a bucket, like that first drop, it just like bounces and echoes and it sounds so lonely. But as that bucket begins to fill and another lesson, another experience, another win begins, it takes on almost a bass sound, like bloop. It holds more value, it holds more tenor, it holds more weight when it hits. And then pretty soon, and I see this, this is so, like when I'm carrying my bucket through life, my dreams, my hopes, my vision, I'm building the muscle in my arm that can carry a fuller bucket, that can go up the journey with, like if I had my bucket full from the beginning, I couldn't lift it off the ground like an infant. But as I begin to experience those wins, learn those lessons, develop that muscle over time, so to speak, and my bucket begins to fill, I'm the person that can carry it because I've grown with it, so to speak. As the weight's increased, so have my ability to carry it. And when we talk about time and dreams, so often, and social media is great because it allowed us this, but social media is a curse. Because I'll look at somebody and go like, well, I want to speak on stage in Nicaragua or Nigeria or Botswana, or I want to travel the world, and I want to do this, and I want to be that, and I want to have 800 followers. And we want to rush our journey. Yeah. And yes, you can rush it to a degree. If you choose to read a book once a month, then okay, it's going to take you 12 months. But if I said if you read a book a week, it's probably going to take you about 3 to 6 weeks to get to the next level because you're investing your energy at a higher level, so the level of return is going to be equal to the investment. And no, you cannot compress the time, but you can increase the influence that those lessons are having over you by increasing your awareness and attention to it. And so when I started studying Gary Vee and social media, he has like 6 books out. I read 4 of them in 2 weeks. It was like, okay, I'm doing a deep dive. I'm reading everything he's written. I'm diving in. I'm learning all I can about him so that it's packed in so tight and so solid that I can use it, not just randomly falling into it. So, oh my gosh, you are just, Lord, you got somebody handing you a second cup of coffee, and I'm like thinking, my little cup's getting empty here. I'm like way down to here, and I'm like, oh well, but I have backup, so we're good. That's not tea. So talk about, because I think often speaking for the room, that cage, we're kind of feeling comfortable. Like, yeah, my bills are paid, my life is okay. Like, if I didn't do anything today, I wouldn't die. But then again, if I didn't do anything today, I might feel like I should have.
Right. Well, I want everybody today to put on their Sherlock Holmes hat and their what do you call it? Magnifying glass. And I want people to think about today and to be open and observant, because if you want to live the charged life, you've got to be open and observant and learning. You've got to be there ready, because you've got to observe you, and you've got to learn every day. That's the secret. So, because if you're not thinking future, as well as living in the moment, if you're not looking for challenges, do you run away for challenges? Oh, that looks a bit scary. Well, then you're never going to get to the next level of life. I mean, I went on a balloon ride yesterday, and I have just ridden a mule around the edge of the Grand Canyon. And for somebody that was just scared of heights, you know, I had to get on an abseiling rope and overcome my fear of heights. And I just did a little video on that. And but making a video was the scariest thing back 2 years ago. I mean, doing a little video, you know, that was so scary for me. So each time you dive through your fear and come out the other side, you're actually dealing with someone. So the charged life, you know, you seek challenge, you're deeply interested in others, but you have a self-reliance. You're not waiting for somebody else to be the energy that you suck off. You're actually creating your own. You have a charge. So I want you to think about today, where was your energy sources and where were your energy drains today? So are you choosing to be energetic today? Are you choosing to make the fitness things? You know, okay, I'm going to eat a cookie. Well, why? Or not going to eat a cookie. Why is that? What has that got to do with the energy in your life? Is that a comfort thing because you resort to those because you feel better when nothing else has worked? Is it a comfort role, or is it something that feeds you?
So Dr. Tanyulo, who is on the beach, I think she's in Puerto Rico. I don't know. She's on a beach with cocktails. Like, does it matter where you're at if you're on the beach with cocktails? Is sitting there screaming out, "It's yummy. I love this." So you've taken her out of the beach and into you. So that's good. So here, oh, you guys, hear this. Learn this. I want you to take today, and maybe for the rest of the week, the rest of the month, I don't care for how long, let's do it once. And divide up a pie with family, fitness, finance, work, whatever, faith. And then ask where your energy level was in each of those areas. Was I a 5 in family, but a 2 in work? Was I a 3 in faith, but a 1 in finance? Mm. And what I'm going to tell you is, the areas that you feel, if you want to do 1 through 10, 1 through 5, I don't care the number system. Just get the concept. For you, see people that have to have all the instructions. There are none. Just get the idea and then figure out your own instructions. The areas where you're scoring high, those may be your comfortable cage zones. The areas where you're scoring low, comfortable charge zones, the areas that you're scoring low are going to be the comfortable to cage zones. And what we have a natural tendency to do is seek out energy. And so we'll pour more energy, more time into that 5 that might be a work and neglect the 2 that is a family. We may pour more energy into our fitness, which we feel is a 5, and neglect the 1 that is finance. Mm. And that's not developing a life of success. What you need to do is say, great, I got a 5 in finance, but what am I not acknowledging? What am I not aware of in number 1, my family, that's pulling and draining and not charging my life? Hmm. Because I need to charge in that zone. I need to grow that zone. I need to develop that because I need that to move to a 5, a 4 as well. So it's funny because, you know, we tend to focus on the 5s because that's where we get naturally rewarded. That's where we get our energy from. That's what gives us our yay moments. But if you're on this journey of personal growth, if you're on this journey of discovery, if you're on this journey of living a life of success, you need to be looking at the 1s and the 2s, the low scores, because there's unfinished, unacknowledged, unaware work that needs to be done. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and Eric, I just say with regards to that, the other thing that I've found that the trick is that, and Faith is not just an external faith. It can be a faith in a higher being. It can be a faith in God. And I have one of those faiths, but it is also faith in me. Faith that I can grow. Faith, that is our growth point. That's where growth enters. You won't invest in yourself if you don't have faith that it will make the difference. Faith comes before anything. If there is no underlying belief, you won't think it's worth even starting or trying, and then you won't keep going. So think of faith, depending on where you're coming from, as not being any particular brand of faith, but do I have faith to take the action required and sustain it because I have faith in me? I have faith that this is important. And then the other thing I've found out that people do is they think that family should be their greatest energy producer, perhaps, but it's not. There are some people out there, they get all that mentally they think externally I should say this. And so they put that down because that's what other people think, I'm a stay-at-home mum, or I should be a stay-at-home mum, or I should be this, or I should be that. Therefore, my biggest energy area should be my family. But it's killing them because it's not. They're not being real to them. For other people, it absolutely is. Or perhaps the way they're experiencing family isn't, because they're trying to get the family to live up to a particular image, and that's killing them all. Rather than going out and getting grubby and rolling in the mud or mountain biking or whatever they need to do to be able to relate as a family. So while we may give mental ascension and we may want our family to be a whole, we have to be careful. Is it really my energy source, or is the way I'm operating in that now actually a drain? In which case we need to get together as a family, and we need to be thinking about fun, because when you really have fun in a situation, don't you know how much more the energy comes? Like on a vacation or whatever gives you fun puts the energy in. So is your family fun? Is your work fun?
Patrick just woke up, by the way, I can tell. He just logged in as you. So there's like two things that came. As my friend Les Brown says, and I'm going to quote him twice today. Ooh, I just got this, got to teach it. Faith gives us the fuel to chase hope, which gives us the time to create the victories in our life that we want.
Yeah.
Or the successes. The faith is that fuel that gives us the energy to go after hope, that buys us the time to create the success we want.
Yeah.
So I'm going to have to play that out in my head for the other 6 hours of the drive back. But I want to talk about the family thing because it's a slippery, dangerous slope. So as you know, my daughter has a disability. So the challenges, I'm not going to say are different because I don't want to but we have a different set of circumstances we have to navigate. And I felt in tremendous guilt because I couldn't do it all with her. She and I butt heads over the weather. And so there are certain things that I was like, yeah, but I'm the dad. I should be able to do this. And I'm her caregiver. And I love her. And this is our role. And I would walk in. And pretty soon the energy in the house would just become toxic for everybody. And you could just feel the vibrations coming out of the woodwork. And I would keep pushing and I keep pushing and I keep pushing because I wanted to have this thing just like this. And only after being beat down, broken out, tore apart by her and this experience and seeing my family literally almost destroyed, I was like, okay, this is not my skill set with her. This is not where I am gifted with her. This is not our relationship between her and I. Now, this is a relationship between my son and I, but between her and I, we have a whole different relationship. And I need to be aware and acknowledge that I'm not the guy to comb her hair. Because I take a horse brush and I pull that mane until every particle. I mean, there is a pile of dead hair on the floor when I'm finished because I just got to get it done. I have learned that, you know what? That's not my role with her. That's not who I am. That's not the position I need to place myself into to add energy into her life, into my life, into the experience of being a family. That's not creating energy. That's creating tension. And so when we say, maybe family isn't your thing, yes, you're a part of a family. What you need to figure out is what your piece, what your strength, what your talent is in that family, and then multiply that. And if you have to, hire, trade off, like, don't be afraid
Yeah.
to give away things.
Yeah.
When we talk about creating a charged life, it is really about starting to become sort of micro habit focused. Like, okay, what is the one thing, like if my energy was at a 4.7, how could I get it to a 4.8 or a 4.9? What needs to go away? What needs to be skilled up? What needs to be forgotten, forgiven, or let go of? And this process doesn't change. It's always in transition and growth.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to ask a couple of questions, and I'm going to read you a question and what was my answer to it quite a while ago. So, you know, because I've had to go through this and life's experience. So if you have felt, it says, if I've felt caged or too comfortable in my recent life, it's probably because, I'll read that again. If I've felt caged or too comfortable in my recent life, it's probably because. Now, I want you to write down whatever's come into your mind. Don't think, oh, no, it's not really that. Just write it down quickly. If I've felt caged or too comfortable in my recent life, it's probably because. Now, what I wrote is, I was worried I wasn't good enough, and because I was trying to please too many people.
Sounds like you had the same coaching session I did the other day.
So that was a while ago. And and then the second one, if I'm going to experience a more charged life, what would you have to do? And for me, I realized that I was working in a sustainment industry at the time, and so much of my energy was bent on keeping things the same, but my energy is on creating. And I took myself off to some painting classes to just get the creativity going again. What can you do to get your creativity going again? Because when you think of it, if you're going to create charge, that's an incredible creative thing. Now, some people can be really creative with code. I work with a whole lot of geeks in the past. I've done a lot of work in the IT industry, those sorts of areas. And their creativity is a different level from mine. But once I realized that I needed to be thinking, well, how do I create today? My creativity level. And then I was thinking back and I was thinking, a measure of being a star in my life is how curious I am. Because if I'm curious, what's curiosity? You're asking why. You're asking how. You're asking, how can I make it better? What's different here? What's another way of looking at it? You can't be, if you're curious, you create options. Because so many of us, we just want the path. Step, 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 step. No, sorry. The charged life. What is it about nuclear explosion? It's not just single linear. It's explosive because it actually goes in all directions. So you are going to have to look at your life in all directions, and it's going to build little bit by little bit. And think of just, perhaps that campfire, that first little flicker, it didn't go. It took a little while for the twigs to catch. It took a little while. Give yourself time. Because once you've got that fire is that little bit inside you, that little belief that something has got to change. I know there's a better life than this. I know it's possible. But just because the fire, the spark hasn't built into a bonfire yet doesn't mean you forget the bonfire, and you got to feed it appropriately.
So we have gone long, but I could be here all day. So I want you guys to have this visualization. As you're planning 2019, as you're looking into the future, I close my eyes again. You guys have got to get used to the fact that when I'm visualizing, I'm closing. That whatever that little dream, that little piece of hope is sitting there as that little ember, that, the one that you blow on and it gets a little oranger and a little brighter, and then you stop breathing on it and it starts to dim. That breath is your faith. Blow on it, your faith, that amber of hope. And then take something simple, take something easy, take something you're very aware needs to change, and just add that light little tinder to it, that leaf, that little bit of cotton, that little bit of easy burning fuel. and then continue to manage it and add bit by bit by bit. Don't be one of these people that goes out on the New Year's, has this little tiny amber, and drops a 10-pound log on top of it and says, okay, burn my new life into bright and great and wonderfulness.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen. Your hope, your faith cannot fuel that big log yet. You are not in a position maybe to take on all of that big timber kind of change, kind of growth, kind of learning, kind of transformation. You have got to earn the right, so to speak, to put the big logs on the fire. And wherever you're at, maybe you've got a little bit better campfire going and you can take on some bigger logs. But don't look across the room and say, well, they've got this thing going on, so I'm going to take that same size log and drop it on my fire, because you will extinguish that star, that hope, that light. I know for me, I was so consumed with copying, and I mean that in the most positive way. I would look at other people are doing, I'd download their system, I'd copy their program. Like, I had to do exactly what they were doing because they were living what I needed to be living. And I realized that my energy, my source, my fuel is like yours. It's creative. And none of that called into my creativeness. And I was getting trapped and frustrated and angry. I mean, you could just feel the tension growing because my fire wasn't growing because I wasn't feeding it my own fuel. And so, I'm stealing the campfire analogy lesson.
Okay, well, I suppose if we've got to finish off, I would say, put up on your fridge, your piece of paper, Monday to Sunday.
Oh, no, don't call it a fridge. What do y'all call it in Australia? You don't call
fridge.
it a fridge.
Yeah,
Oh,
on
I
your
thought you had
fridge.
some quaint little Aussie phrase for it.
No. The fridge will do.
Like a Hoover or something.
No. Put that and just measure, or you can do it in your diary, but take a measure. I don't care whether you do 1 to 5 or 1 to 10. It doesn't matter. That's irrelevant. You can do 1 to 100 if you like, but just give yourself a measure each day for your energy today, and then be open and observant. Where were you and who were you with when your energy went up and your energy went down? But just, even if you do one thing and don't do anything more, write your energy level for each day of the week, and then at the end of the week reflect on it and think, why was it that energy level on that day? And how can I improve that? Because when you start thinking, then you go back, well, my energy came from this, my energy came from that, that took away my energy. You'll start recognizing the real priorities in your life. Because if you don't have anything, if you don't have energy, you don't have anything. If you don't need more time, because everybody's got the same amount of time. But think of it, if your energy is 10 times higher, how much more can you get out of any given point of time? It doesn't matter what is there.
You can
the
chop
more
down
energy,
a tree,
the greater one.
yeah.
So that's the thing. Energy
You
is
can
the
chop down a tree
factor.
with an axe or with a laser.
Yeah, or with,
I love that. I mean, the focused laser is the same light that we sit and read by. It's the exact same energy. It's just how it's been managed to create the impact. And so here's again, give them the lesson. Please, you see personalities, and I tease you guys all the time. Don't worry about the rules. Just worry about the result that you want to create. Write down 3 or 4 areas: family, faith, finance, fitness, business, whatever. And then have a score, 1 through 5, 1 through 10, 1 through 437 if you want.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
I've created some resource sheets for these where you can actually, they're made for the fridge, where they've got the columns for the different areas.
Are you going to send them out if they ask you?
Yes, if people want to let me know. They're actually on the resources on our Equipped for Success website. And so, but what I will do is, if people contact me, I'm not sure how you want to manage that, then I can arrange for, we'll put them up so that they can I'll put a link so that they can be accessed within the next sort of 48 hours, because I have to get to Patsy back in Australia and make sure, because they were linked. If they go back into our webpage and go to our blog, some of my earlier blogs, perhaps in October, November, they actually have links through to our resources page, and they are there. So they're all there, and you can print them off, and you can put your gold star in the, the ones that you achieve. And, you know, you might be an activity, because if you haven't got your health, if you know you're not eating right, if you know you're not exercising right, you're not going to have your energy. So again, even when you think about, start with the energy, but when you come back to the source of it, be honest. If you need to get out there and hit the pavement, or like I've got a daughter, and she is getting her dad and I to do lunges and all these exercises once a week. She's got us working. Yeah. She's got it. She's getting mum and dad fit. And you know, it's fantastic. Won't tell it too much. Oh, she's probably not seeing this because she'll be asleep.
Patrick, I know you're on the other side. So go ahead and put the email address or put the webpage link or however you want them to contact Wendy. So again, you're going to have a resource list. You're going to write down what your score is. You're going to sort of include in that why you feel that score is what it is, like what pulled you down or what pushed you up. Then when you pull back and you look at it and you're like, wow, so here's an area of growth because it's on the lower scale. Here's an area of energy. If I was going to build a business, build a life, I would build it around the energy centers because that's my natural calling, giftedness, joy. But when I'm going to begin to transform my life, I'm going to begin to look at the other areas that are on the lower scale because I want to have a whole life balance.
Well, that's why with my Be a Star program, I actually work on you. So in every area, you ask, what's the next step? So, okay, I want, what's the next in my growth? Do I need to read a book? Do I need to get a coach? Do I need to get a mentor? Do I need to do a course? I may not have much money yet, but what do I need to do? What do I need to do to have fun? Maybe I can walk along the beach. Maybe I can just walk around the block. That's my fitness thing now. It mightn't be a big thing, but it's something I can do. And make sure that I smell the daisies, you know, as I walk around the block. Now, if you're in 4 feet of snow, you'll need to find an alternative one. But you do what you can do now. So in each of the areas of your life, think, the next thing I'm going to do is that, because you've got that healthy person, that energetic person, that picture of who you are at the absolute charged life, living your purpose, living your best. And so you can then say, is this cookie, or is this very nice meal that we're going out for, is this celebration, is what I'm doing actually helping me become the person that can live that life? Whereas if you're just setting yourself a goal, like, or a rule, I mustn't do this, I must do that, you can't sustain it because its relevance to the person you want to become is not there. So make sure you've thought about the person, the best you, the you that you can be, the high energy you, living the life you want to do. And then you just ask yourself, is doing this helping me get there, or isn't it? And then that takes away so much of the pressure, and it makes it so much easier. And then you can smile more, and you know what? Then everything happens faster because you're having fun.
Well, I have to tell you, you have charged me up. You have charged me up this morning. You're an amazing person. I so love the time that we got to spend when you were here in Atlanta. And now I'm just going to have to make sure that there's a Disney trip every year, I guess. Not that I'm going to be going with you. I've already put that down. So, again, fill the feed down below with how you want them to chase you down. I know you've got a ton. You and I talked offline. You got a ton of programs and projects and things coming up in 2019. Just because you're in Australia, the wonderful thing is we can still connect and learn from you. I love your blog that comes out each week. And so I want to encourage people to sign up, get connected to you, get to know you. You are a phenomenal guest and a phenomenal friend in my life. You charge the room wherever you go. We just not allowed back in Paraguay after our last. No, everybody, that is a joke. That is a joke. We were not kicked out of the country. I was just escorted to the airport.
I wasn't.
No, you were well. I love to go and have fun wherever I'm at. And when I'm around great, highly charged people, it just amplifies. I want to thank you so deeply for everything you taught this morning, you guys. I will put this up on YouTube. Yes, it is a bit of a long lesson. Got to look at the clock. So an hour and a half, I apologize. Whoa. But I tell you, if you will take the time and just listen and learn and dive into it, 2019 is going to be different than 2018. You will start to see and understand how to create the change and growth that you want in your life in a way that makes sense. So I encourage you to listen to this, share this, comment. If you're watching in the replay, comment again. We will follow up throughout the day. I know, Wendy, you're off on some big adventure in Arizona for the afternoon.
Well, it's 7:30 in the morning here, and I'm about to do a Jeep tour all around the Red Rocks.
Oh, how fun. Just so you know, it's kind of the equivalent of the time I went to Ayers Rock. Like, for all of you who have not been to Australia, so Ayers Rock's this big, big red mound of dirt in the middle of nowhere. And they won't even let you rent a car to go there because so many people get there and can't, like, finish the journey. So you have to get on this tour bus and you drive out there, and then you're like, okay, there's this rock in the middle of nowhere. Now what? And you climb up in it, and it takes like, what, 20 minutes to climb up it? And then you climb
Well, they don't let you climb it anymore. They don't let you climb it anymore. No.
Because we've worn it down too much?
No, because it's an Aboriginal sacred site.
Well,
so there you go.
That said I got to climb it back in the old days.
But I would just say, is people, when you're doing this, be kind to yourself. Keep it simple. That's why I've devised the way I do it. I think so many people make this too complicated. Can I be better today than I was yesterday? If I have grown today, if I have asked the questions and been honest with myself and learned something today, then I should be better than I was yesterday. And I can do the same tomorrow. Don't despise the day of little growth. Just do it every day, and see where it takes you. And be prepared, because then you'll get the strength where you can suddenly have huge growth.
So don't despise the day of little growth. I'm going to close it out on that.
Yeah.
What a wonderful lesson. Don't despise the day of little growth. Thank you so much, my friend. You have been phenomenal. We didn't get to play the game, but who cares, because this was worth more. You are a gift and a blessing to many. Give Patrick my best, and enjoy Disney, and I will talk to you soon. Everybody else, go out and have a fantastic day. Go out and live your success. Don't forget, we'll drop the link or the resource link here below in the comments, and then I'll also make sure, if you send me a private message, to make sure those get over to Wendy as well. All right. Thank you, my dear. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you. Bye. Thanks, then. Bye.
Good on ya.
Thank you. Thank you,
Bye-bye.
everybody. Bye.